Sifu is a game that really knows how to bring the heat with its combat. Picture this fluid, intense martial arts action mixed with an intriguing mechanic that's all about aging with every defeat. It's a concept that just feels fresh and intense, making every battle count more than you'd expect. Every time you fall, you don't just die and restart. You come back older, wiser, but with a little less health. This means you have to think twice before jumping into a fight and decide whether it's worth going in with more experience, but fewer chances to mess up. The game's combat system is sharp and deeply rewarding. Every punch, kick, and dodge feels satisfying, and the game really pushes you to master your moves. It's not about button mashing, it's about learning the flow of the combat, mastering the timing, and making every strike feel like a calculated decision. The more you learn, the more satisfying it gets. What really sets this game apart is the way it makes you interact with the environment. You're not just fighting one-on-one with enemies, but using the surroundings to your advantage. Throwing someone into a table or grabbing a weapon lying around can really change the tide of a battle. It's little things like this that make the gameplay feel dynamic, like you're really in the moment, using everything around you to survive. And that aging mechanic, it's not just a gimmick, it adds a real layer of strategy to the game. Dead Island 2 drops you straight into a chaotic, zombie-infested version of Los Angeles, and honestly, it's a wild ride. This game has all the ingredients you need for a fun, action-packed adventure. It's not just about taking down zombies, it's about doing it in style with an arsenal of weapons and a whole lot of creativity. The moment you start, you're thrown into the deep end with 6 unique characters, each bringing their own flavor to the table. Whether you like to rush in swinging a heavy hammer or take a more tactical approach with ranged weapons, there's a slayer for every type of player. The variety really helps keep things fresh and lets you experiment with different combat styles. Speaking of combat, it's all about the melee action. Forget the typical shoot-and-run tactics. In this game, you're up close and personal, smashing, hacking, and bashing your way through hordes of zombies. The coolest part? You can totally customize your weapons. Want to add fire to your machete? Go for it. Or how about electrifying your bat? Yes, please. It's those little details that make every encounter feel exciting and satisfying. Now, the open world, oh man, it's huge. You get to explore a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles that's been overrun by the undead. It's not just about running from point A to point B. You've got areas to scavenge, hidden secrets to uncover, and plenty of chaos to embrace. Ryse, Son of Rome. Ryse, Son of Rome is like your personal ticket to stepping into the sandals of a Roman warrior, battling your way through hordes of enemies in some seriously intense combat. It's a third-person action game that has you taking control of Marius Titus, a Roman soldier with a serious vendetta. The gameplay is all about fighting, and more fighting, with each battle making you feel like a total powerhouse when you're chopping your way through waves of enemies. The combat is where it really shines. Everything's built around rhythm. It's not just about hacking and slashing, there's a flow to it, almost like dancing with swords. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be chaining attacks together, taking out enemies with style. There's this cool execution mechanic where when an enemy is weak enough, you can trigger these brutal finishing moves. It's not just satisfying to watch, it rewards you with things like health boosts and experience points. So every fight becomes a rhythm to master, a chance to build up and pull off those big moments. A little bit of teamwork also gets thrown in with the multiplayer mode. If you're not just into solo slaying, you can team up with a buddy and face down enemies together. It's fun to switch things up and get a little chaotic while trying to outlast waves of foes. You don't get to see too many games with this kind of co-op experience mixed in with your typical hack and slash, so it's a nice bonus for those who like to team up. Middle-earth: Shadow of War. This one takes everything that made its predecessor so addictive and cranks it up to a whole new level. The combat is faster, the world is bigger, and the enemies, they're not just mindless grunts. Thanks to that incredibly deep nemesis system, every encounter feels personal, and no two battles play out the same way. One moment, there's an orc swearing vengeance. The next, it's turning into a full-blown rivalry that lasts for hours. The feeling of taking over strongholds and leading an entire army is where things really shine. Instead of being a lone warrior cutting through waves of enemies, it's all about commanding troops, planning strategic assaults, and watching a carefully built army grow stronger with every victory. The orcs under command aren't just faceless soldiers either. Each one has personality, strengths, and sometimes a little too much attitude. Upgrading skills and gear keeps the gameplay fresh, letting battles stay engaging no matter how far in things get. There's something satisfying about unlocking new abilities that make slicing through enemies even more fluid. Whether it's stealthy assassinations, brutal executions, or raining arrows from above, every fight plays out with a perfect mix of strategy and chaos. The world itself is a dangerous playground, full of different regions to explore. Every area has its own threats, opportunities, and of course, a never-ending supply of orcs ready to either join up or cause trouble. The Last Guardian is one of those games that grabs you with its heart and never really lets go. It's not just a game about puzzles and exploration, it's about the bond you form with your companion, and that's where the magic happens. Right from the start, you're tossed into this giant, mysterious world with a huge, unpredictable creature by your side. And trust me, the relationship between you and your companion is what makes this game so special. You're not just running around smashing things or solving puzzles on your own. You're figuring things out alongside your companion, who's, well, a giant winged creature that acts like it's got a mind of its own. Trico doesn't always listen, and at times it feels like you're trying to convince a stubborn pet to do what you want, but that's what makes it fun. It's like figuring out how to communicate with this creature in a world that's falling apart. The puzzles aren't the usual find the key and open the door kind of thing either. It's all about the environment and using what's around you. You'll be climbing, jumping, and at times thinking outside the box. You and Trico work together, using each other's strengths to get through obstacles. Sometimes you need Trico to lift you up to higher places, and sometimes it's all about coaxing it to do something it's a bit afraid of. It's not always straightforward, and that's where the fun comes in. Every time you solve a puzzle, it feels like a small victory. And when you finally get past that one tricky part, there's this satisfying sense of accomplishment. Rage 2. The game takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, where you get to step into the boots of Walker, the last surviving ranger. What's awesome here is how the game gives you a ton of freedom. The open world is huge, and you can just dive right into exploring. Whether you're racing across deserts in a souped-up vehicle, hunting down bandits, or just taking a minute to blow stuff up for fun, there's always something going on. And let's talk about the guns for a second. They're ridiculously satisfying. You've got your classic shooters, assault rifles, shotguns, and pistols, but it's the crazier weapons that really steal the show. Grenade launchers that fire exploding projectiles, and shotguns that make you feel like a walking natural disaster. Then, you've got your nanotrite abilities, which just take things to another level. It's not just about shooting, it's about combining weapons and powers to create total chaos. Imagine launching enemies into the air with one ability, then mowing them down mid-flight. It's that kind of anything goes energy that makes every encounter feel like a thrill ride. The vehicle combat is another standout feature. If you thought the on-foot shooting was fun, wait until you get behind the wheel of a car with guns mounted on it. It's like Mad Max meets a first-person shooter. Whether you're tearing through enemy camps or engaging in car chases, the driving combat is just as engaging as the rest of the game. Amnesia the Bunker. Imagine waking up in an abandoned World War I era bunker with no memory of how you got there, but you quickly realize that you're not alone. That's just the start of the journey, and things only get more intense from there. Right from the jump, the game throws you into a gritty, resource-scarce world where you're constantly on edge. You've got limited ammo, dwindling supplies, and a massive, terrifying creature hunting you down, all while you're trapped in the dark. It's a game of cat and mouse, where every corner you turn could be the one where the beast shows up to spoil your plans. One of the coolest things about the gameplay is the sense of freedom. Unlike the more linear routes of its predecessors, this one opens up the bunker in a semi-open world style, giving you the chance to explore at your own pace. The tension is ratcheted up by this freedom because you never know exactly when the beast will strike or what path you might take to get away. Whether you're trying to find more fuel for the generator or scrounging for weapons to defend yourself, every decision feels meaningful. The real magic happens when you start getting creative with the environment. Gasoline becomes your best friend. You can pour it around the bunker to light up dark spaces or even set traps to slow down the beast. This kind of environmental manipulation makes every encounter feel dynamic and keeps things fresh. Ghostrunner is one of those games that instantly hooks you with its intense action and fast-paced gameplay. It's set in a cyberpunk world where agility is just as important as sword skills, and every move counts. The game focuses on acrobatic parkour and fluid combat, creating a thrilling experience that keeps you on your toes. You're constantly running, sliding, and jumping your way through levels, and each decision has to be made in an instant, because one wrong move and it's game over. The combat is quick, precise, and punishing, but it's also incredibly rewarding. The beauty of it lies in its simplicity. You get one hit to take out enemies, and they get one hit to take you down. But it's not about just hacking your way through, it's all about finesse. You've got to time your movements, plan your attacks, and learn the flow of combat. When you finally nail a sequence of attacks, you feel like you've just pulled off something epic. The best part? You're not just fighting your way through enemies. The game is built around momentum. Everything is about speed. Whether you're running up walls, dodging bullets, or using time-slowing abilities to outmaneuver your enemies, the game makes you feel like a true master of movement. You get this amazing sense of fluidity when everything clicks, and it feels like you're in the zone, leaping from platform to platform, slicing through enemies all without missing a beat. But don't be fooled. This game doesn't take it easy on you. It's got a challenge factor that's perfect for players who love a good test of skill. Alien Isolation is one of those games that just nails the art of tension. It takes what we loved about the 1979 film and turns it into a nerve-wracking, edge-of-your-seat experience. The entire vibe is pure survival horror, and if you're into games that keep you on your toes, this is it. First off, the AI in this game is wild. The Xenomorph isn't just some mindless enemy that pops up now and then. It's smart, relentless, and always adapting to how you play. If you make a lot of noise or take the same route too many times, the alien catches on. It feels like you're always being hunted, which just amps up the tension. You'll quickly realize that stealth is your best friend here. You've got to sneak around, hide, and use the environment to your advantage. Every step you take, you're wondering if you've made too much noise or if the alien is lurking just around the corner. And let's talk about the crafting system. It's not over the top or flashy, but it's so satisfying. You've got limited resources, so you'll be scavenging for parts and making everything count. Whether it's crafting a noisemaker to distract the alien or making a medkit for when things get dicey, it's all about using what you've got to survive. It's a really nice touch that keeps you invested in the gameplay. The game does a great job of making you feel vulnerable, and that's what makes it so fun. You're not some overpowered hero running through everything like in other games. You're a regular person trying to get by in a deadly situation, and every little decision feels important. Helldivers 2 kicks off a whole new chapter for fans of co-op shooters. If you're a fan of teamwork, strategy, and a good mix of humor with intense action, this one's got your name written all over it. It's a game that makes you feel like you're part of an elite squad, where the pressure's on to defend Super Earth from a range of deadly alien species. The great thing? You'll be teaming up with your friends to take on these challenges, and the co-op action is where it really shines. The heart of this game is all about teamwork. You and your squad are out there trying to survive while fighting your way through a variety of crazy alien forces. It's one of those games where every mission can go sideways if you're not careful. The beauty of it is how strategy comes into play. From picking the right weapons to dropping in some sweet tactical stratagems like turrets or airstrikes, you really have to think on your feet. Every time you think you've got things under control, something unexpected happens, and that keeps things exciting. What really stands out is how the game keeps things fresh with procedural mission generation. No two missions are ever the same, so there's always something new around the corner. This keeps the action varied, and there's always that element of surprise. Add in some adjustable difficulty levels, and it's clear the game wants to make sure everyone from newcomers to veteran players can jump in and have a blast. And don't think you can just rush through things without a plan. There's a lot of friendly fire here. Mortal Kombat 1 has returned, and it's here to deliver everything we love about the series with a fresh twist. This entry takes a bold step forward, rebooting the timeline in a way that feels both familiar and exciting. If you're a fan of intense, over-the-top fighting action, this is absolutely the game you want to dive into. What really sets it apart is the cameo fighters. You pick a fighter to team up with during each battle, adding a whole new layer of strategy and fun. It's not just about who you're playing as, it's about how your cameo fighter can turn the tide of a match. This system really keeps things fresh and opens up tons of possibilities for combo-filled chaos. The combat is as brutal and satisfying as ever. The fatal blows make their return, which always makes for an exciting finish, and those animalities, yeah, they're back too. It's these kinds of dramatic, jaw-dropping moments that make Mortal Kombat such a staple in the fighting game world. There's so much to sink your teeth into. The single-player invasions mode brings a bit of RPG flavor to the mix. You'll be battling through challenges, earning rewards, and leveling up. It's a great way to get deeper into the game without feeling like you're just doing the same old fights over and over. And if you're the competitive type, the online multiplayer is there for you, bringing smooth matches with rollback netcode to keep things feeling sharp. It's also got tons of modes to keep things interesting. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle really knows how to make adventure feel like the main event. There's just something so satisfying about slipping on the boots of a character who doesn't need superpowers or fancy tech to handle trouble. Just a whip, some sharp instincts, and a knack for getting into situations that escalate faster than you can blink. The game really hits that sweet spot between old-school action charm and modern-day polish, with every corner of its world begging to be explored and every encounter nudging you to think on your feet. There's a special kind of fun in juggling stealth one moment and throwing down the next, especially when every situation seems to have a couple of different ways to handle it. The way everything flows makes it so easy to lose track of time because there's always something interesting pulling you forward. The whip isn't just for flair either, it's one of those tools that constantly surprises with how much it can actually do. Whether it's in the middle of a fight, or when you're trying to figure out how to cross a tricky gap or trigger something clever. Little details like that keep things lively without the game ever feeling repetitive or predictable. One of the best parts is how the environments themselves feel like puzzles just waiting for the right approach. You don't need to be a master code breaker, but the way the game encourages observation and curiosity makes every solved puzzle feel pretty rewarding. It never leans too hard on hand-holding, which only adds to the feeling of being dropped into the middle of a real adventure. Tekken 8. This one pulls no punches, literally. Every match feels like it's got this electric energy pulsing through it, and the second you get a feel for the new systems, it just clicks in the most satisfying way. The biggest shift is the heat system, and it's wild how much it changes up the momentum. It rewards you for being bold, going in, making things happen, and really owning the fight. That one change brings a whole different rhythm to each round. Characters all feel snappy and powerful in their own unique ways. There's a nice balance between familiar faces and brand new fighters, so there's something to dig into whether you've been around since the early days or you're diving in for the first time. Each fighter brings some personality, a different flair, and just enough depth to keep you experimenting. Arcade Quest is a cool touch for anyone looking to get the hang of things without diving into full-blown competition right away. It gives you space to mess around with the mechanics, figure out combos, and see what clicks. And when you do decide to jump into online, the Fight Lounge has this fun, almost retro vibe to it. You can hang out, tweak your avatar, chat, and square up when you're ready. It makes the whole experience feel like more than just fighting, like being part of a scene again. When everything's working together, the mechanics, the modes, the vibe, you get this game that knows exactly what it is and leans into the chaos and competition in the best way. Lords of the Fallen takes you on a wild ride through a dark, gritty world that has everything you could want from an action RPG. Challenging combat, cool mechanics, and plenty of ways to explore. From the moment you step into the game, you're thrown into a universe that feels alive, full of danger and mystery. It's the kind of game where you always feel like you're on the edge, ready for something intense around every corner. One of the coolest parts about this game is the dual realm mechanic. You can switch between the living world and the realm of the dead. This isn't just a neat gimmick. It opens up tons of possibilities for how you explore and solve puzzles. Need to get across a gap or bypass an obstacle? Flip into the other realm, and bam! Suddenly, there's a whole new way forward. It's clever, and it adds an extra layer to the experience that keeps you on your toes. Combat in this game is no joke. If you're a fan of the Souls-like genre, you'll feel right at home with its methodical, deliberate pace. It's all about timing, dodging at the right moment, blocking when needed, and delivering those satisfying strikes when you find the opening. The variety of character classes is another highlight. Whether you're all about heavy damage or prefer a more agile approach, there's a playstyle for everyone. It's not just about slashing through enemies, it's about figuring out the best way to approach every encounter. Another fun aspect of this game is the cooperative multiplayer. Remnant II brings us into a wild ride through a post-apocalyptic world, blending intense action with RPG elements in a way that keeps you hooked for hours. It takes everything great about its predecessor and cranks it up a notch. If you're into shooters, but also love the depth and exploration of an RPG, this is the perfect blend of both worlds. The gameplay is an absolute blast, especially with its co-op mechanics. You and your squad can dive into some seriously challenging battles, whether you're playing solo or teaming up with friends. The gunplay feels tight, and the variety of weapons available keeps things fresh. It's not just about shooting everything in sight. You'll also need to be strategic, figuring out how to manage resources, find the best gear, and take down tough bosses that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Plus, each world feels distinct, offering new enemies, settings, and challenges as you progress. One of the cool things about this game is how it keeps you on your toes with random elements. The world feels dynamic, and it doesn't matter how many times you play, there's always something new to discover. The mix of procedural generation with pre-designed environments creates an experience that feels fresh every time you venture out. The difficulty? Yeah, it's tough, but in the best way possible. It's not just about mindless action. You'll need to think and plan, especially when it comes to dealing with different types of enemies. They all have their own quirks, and you'll quickly learn that strategy trumps brute force. Quantum Break is one of those games that takes a pretty wild approach to blending traditional action with storytelling. Picture this, a third-person shooter where you don't just shoot, you bend time. Yep, you've got these awesome time manipulation abilities that make combat way more interesting and strategy-heavy. You play as Jack Joyce, and right from the start, you're dealing with some seriously mind-bending time shenanigans. You've got powers like freezing time in place, rushing around in the blink of an eye, and creating shields of pure time energy. It's all about playing around with these powers to make your enemies think twice before they even pull the trigger. It's not just about aiming and shooting, it's about using your surroundings and your time powers to outsmart everyone. You can freeze enemies in place, blast them with a time-fueled attack, or zip across the battlefield in an instant. And let's not forget the time dodge. There's just something satisfying about dodging bullets in slow motion. The whole game keeps you on your toes with a mix of fast-paced combat and environmental puzzles that require you to think in terms of time, not just space. Whether you're stopping time to move objects around or dodging explosions, there's this constant need to adjust your strategy. The whole experience feels fresh because of how much time is part of the gameplay. It's not just a gimmick, it's integral to the flow of everything. And here's something cool, the game integrates live-action episodes as part of its story. GreedFall is one of those games that just pulls you into a whole new world full of adventure, political drama, and, of course, tons of loot. It's an RPG that really makes you think about how to approach situations, whether you're sword fighting your way through a battle, charming your way into an alliance, or crafting the perfect gear. It's like your classic RPG, but with a fresh twist on the usual fantasy setting, which makes it feel like a bit of a breath of fresh air. The gameplay is a blast because it offers so many ways to play. Whether you're a fan of up-close and personal combat with a sword, you like picking people off from a distance with a bow, or you want to mix things up with some magic, you'll find a style that suits you. The best part is that you don't have to stick to just one. You can tweak your skills to be this jack-of-all-trades, making your approach to fights feel pretty flexible and dynamic. And speaking of flexibility, the whole diplomacy side of things is a lot of fun too. It's not just about hacking and slashing your way through problems. You can actually talk your way out of situations, make alliances, and influence factions to get what you want. That whole do I fight or talk my way through this vibe is constantly present, and it's such a cool dynamic to have in a game. The choices you make with people can change the direction of the game, which gives everything you do a bit more weight. It's like every interaction counts. The Sinking City. You know those games that just drop you into a place and let you figure things out on your own? Yeah, this is one of those, and it's weird in the best possible way. You're basically tossed into this flooded, half-drowned town where nothing feels quite right, and instead of holding your hand, it just kind of gives you a pat on the back and says, "Good luck, detective." One of the coolest things is how it handles investigation. You're not just running from point A to point B. You've got to actually think. Clues don't scream at you, they whisper. Like if you're the kind of player who loves digging through newspapers, piecing things together, and feeling like an actual detective instead of someone just following waypoints, this is absolutely your jam. Also, you can't just walk everywhere. Parts of the town are flooded, so you'll be hopping into boats to get around. It's not fast-paced or packed with constant action, but that's kind of the point. It lets you soak in the unease. Plus, it gives the whole place this cool, sluggish, eerie vibe. Like the city itself is dragging you deeper into its secrets. Now, it's not perfect. The combat? Yeah, it's there technically, but this isn't the kind of game where gunfights are the highlight. Think of them more like things that happen sometimes when you'd rather they didn't. It's more about surviving than being a hero, and that fits the overall feel. Vampyr 2018 is one of those games that really knows how to mix action, morality, and a bit of gothic flair into something you can sink your teeth into. Pun intended. The moment you dive in, you're stepping into 1918 London, right in the middle of the Spanish flu outbreak. It's a city in chaos, but with a twist, you're not just any person roaming the streets. You're Jonathan Reed, a doctor turned vampire, trying to balance saving lives while also, well, drinking them. The gameplay really does a great job of letting you decide how you want to approach things, whether it's taking down enemies with your bare hands, unleashing vampiric powers, or using weapons. There's always a way to make combat feel fresh. But it's not just mindless fighting. The game makes you think about every move, especially when it comes to choosing who lives and who doesn't. The cool thing is your choices matter, not just for you, but for the entire world around you. Saving people can make the city a better place, but giving in to your thirst for blood, well, that's going to make things a lot darker. One of the neatest things about the game is the citizen hint system. You get to learn more about the people in the world around you, what makes them tick, their backstories, and even what their blood type is. That's right, you get to know who's worth sinking your teeth into. This system adds a whole new layer of depth to the interactions you have. The Outer Worlds. If you've ever wanted to shoot your way through space while sweet-talking your way out of trouble and occasionally setting everything on fire with a science weapon shaped like a shrink ray, this is your kind of game. It's one of those rare RPGs that feels like it's winking at you the whole time, not taking itself too seriously, but still delivering a super polished, deeply satisfying experience. What makes it fun is how much control you have over how you play. Want to be the charming, smooth talker who avoids combat? Go for it. Prefer solving problems with a heavy weapon and zero patience? Totally valid. The freedom to create your own chaotic or noble space hero is where the magic lives, and there are legit consequences to your choices. Not just the big moral ones either. Small dialogue decisions can spiral into hilarious, weird, or occasionally brilliant outcomes. The combat is punchy and fast, but what really spices things up is the tactical time dilation system. Basically, it lets you slow time and get all John Wick in a shootout. And there are ridiculous weapons too, like gear that doesn't make sense in the best way possible. It's not just about firepower, it's about style. Another standout? The companions. They're not just there to back you up, they have actual personalities, opinions, and they will 100% call you out if you're being sketchy.